so much here and so many daggone takes to go through. Now, before we talk about what's right and what's wrong and what probably should have happened or what probably shouldn't have happened and what's happened as a result, I want to let you guys know that this video right here is going to be focusing a lot more in on the why this right here is actually happening. But with that right there out of the way, let's go ahead and get
historically, we've stood on that principle of saying we're going to allow things that we disagree with.
Okay.
And we've allowed things that we completely disagree with.
Do you allow
on the
people to
platform.
do
But
pro-abortion? Do you allow pro-abortion fundraising?
Actually, there's two caveats to what Give, Send, Go has carved out. And one of them is
absolutely abhorrent for an adult to call a kid a name anyway. I don't care what name you call a kid. You so silly that you gonna call a kid a name, a little bitty kid, 8-year-old, 10-year-old, maybe, and you grown calling the kid.
The man who recorded Shiloh Hendricks and followed her to her car was Shamiki Omar. Many are calling him a PDF file due to an older case where he was accused of assaulting a 16-year-old girl. However, according to court records, the case the accusations.
Before we fully dig into this, I want you guys to know right now that what we're going to be doing over the course of this video is we're going to be looking at exactly what happened. Number one, we're going to be looking at some of the previous takes and some of the takes that have been on this issue and where they are right or where they may be wrong at. And then also to go on top of that, there's also something that got completely glossed over during this entire situation that I'm going to be speaking about as well. And also the ridiculous double standard and why it is that this right for the most part, I think is a reaction to other things that have happened here recently, especially in our news cycle. And yes, there'll be a follow-up to this right here tomorrow. And then to go on top of that there, I'll tell you guys whether I think this right here was the right course of action. But let us go ahead and get to it. It was also this, well, ridiculous meltdown on Piers Morgan via Mark Lamont Hill that we will get much, much deeper into tomorrow. But here's a bit of a preview.
And I don't want to live in a country where you can say an inappropriate, rude thing, which, by the way, black people can say things to white people all the time and they never get canceled. There's no backlashing about this. I want to live in a country where people are allowed to say what they want unashamedly. And you will
well, go
not
on, then
have
say it. Say
you
the
will
M-
not have
go on,
free
say,
speech.
go on. Say the M word. Go on.
Just wait for it.
No.
Don't invite. No.
No.
I don't want you to invite this woman to say a racially harmful term in front of me because I'm the only on here. So if she says it, I'm the victim of it. So please don't invite her for ratings to call me the N-word because that's basically what it's going to be. There's a bunch of white people up here. You and one Uncle Tom on the left here, and to ask her to say the N-word while I'm here is ridiculous. You would not sit here with a Jewish person and say, please use a Jewish slur in front of this Jewish. It's ridiculous. I understand you don't have any bad intent, Piers. I understand what you're trying to do. But we already know she's racist. And I don't want to invite a racial harm to me.
I hear you.
I'm sorry, but Myron's reactions to Mark Lamont Hill here, it really sells the comedy. I'm just saying. I have never seen anybody melt down. And by the way, Pierce was goading the original N-word girl. Well, she's not really the original N-word girl, Lily Gaddis. He was actually goading her into saying it. And Mark had already gone off 100%, completely, totally done blown his top before we even get there. So what's going on here? So this girl named Shiloh Hendricks out of Rochester, Minnesota, Olmsted County, I believe is the actual county itself. She was at a playground with her son and supposedly another child, which, by the way, we're hearing, according to the internet, is 5 years old. I personally don't buy that. And then they came out 3 days later and said that the child was autistic. My thinking is probably 7 or 8. Apparently, he, went into the child's diaper bag and tried to, rummage through and try to steal some things. And the woman, Shiloh Hendricks, she obviously got upset. Now, guys, I obviously cannot play the video for you guys, even though I'm playing it in the B-roll footage. I will link it in the description box, and I'll also link some other stuff in the description box for you guys, like always, so that way you guys can actually watch it for yourself. But I don't exactly know how to bleep certain words out. Well, not for the purpose of this video here, but you guys will see an example of this when I do my video on Full Metal Jacket. There's obviously going to be a certain little word that's going to be bleeped out, which of course is obviously the word that people are going crazy over. Now, guys, before we fully dig into this, if you have not subscribed to the channel, please consider doing so. It is the best way to support this channel for free. Also, something else too, when we start going to video essays on movies and films and their actual meaning and whether they're prophetic or whatnot, I would like you guys to stick around for that. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you guys will be impressed. The first project will be coming out in probably a week and a half to 2 weeks. I'm going to go ahead and get it uploaded probably on Mother's Day. But of course, I will give it the additional week to kind of go through the copyright claims, checks, and all that type of stuff there. So that way I can go ahead and kind of maneuver around that stuff there. It's going to be a Warner Brothers based product, so I'm pretty sure there's going to be at least one claim. Also, to go on top of that there, if you are subscribed, please make sure the notifications bell is on so that way you guys are notified when the content is released. And also to go on top of that, if you guys can, also please hit that like button so that way the video will take off and get to a much, much larger audience. And let us go ahead and get into this. So, the girl, Shiloh Hendricks, she has raised $700,000 as of the recording of this video. It's probably going to be a little bit higher. And a lot of people are saying, my God, they are donating to this person who said the dreaded word. Didn't a lot of you donate to a kid named Carmelo Anthony in Texas the other day? Like, he's got like $600,000. And he brutally murdered another kid by the name of Austin Metcalf because he asked him to leave. What I'm saying is that there's a lot of hypocrisy here. Still, though, the point is this right here. While she probably should not have said the word, and while she probably should not be calling a child a word, I really and truly do not want to hear any complaints out of you. That right there is the real reason why I'm making this video, because there's a lot of bull crap here, and it seems to me like this right here is more of a reaction to that than what happened on the playground. But still, though, there are people out there who are screaming, you know, white racist and white supremacist and all that type of crap there. Let me just go ahead and tell you right now what I've always said about issues like this right here. This right here is more of an urban-suburban thing, not a rural thing. It's more territorial. There was this girl named Salty Girl, who I will link the post in the description box for you guys to read all the way out, who talks about the Midwest and how it is that it's a bit of a powder keg racially. And I want to go ahead and tell you guys right now, if you want to see actual true, well, let's just say if you want to see people working together and not having these issues, I would advise you guys come south of the Mason-Dixon line. I live in North Carolina. Yes, we had the whole Jim Crow stuff at one point in time, but eventually we integrated and things went through much smoother. However, I need to say this right here because obviously it seems to be the bigger cities north of the Mason-Dixon line where the biggest problems have always occurred. For example, we had the riots in 2020. That was Minneapolis, you know, defund the police, all that stuff there. The Boston busing riots, the Newark race riots. Oh, that's right. Martin Luther King, he claimed that Chicago was probably the most racist place he'd ever seen. The point that I'm getting to is that this right here seems a little bit more like an urban, suburban issue than it does a rural, small town issue, even though Rochester is obviously smaller than Minneapolis. But of course, the Midwest, they're kind of going through it right now. The point is this right here. People have had enough, and of course, they are starting to get that dreaded word fatigue that many others have talked about. One person in particular was the officer Brandon Tatum. Here's a bit of that right now.
It's absolutely abhorrent for an adult to call a kid a name anyway. I don't care what name you call a kid. You so silly that you're going to call a kid a name. A little bitty kid. 8-year-old, 10-year-old, maybe. And you grown calling a kid a name. I don't care what name you call him. You so upset you call a kid a derogatory name. You silly. With that being said, and I do not support her calling this kid any name, especially not the name that you're going to find out that she called him, a little black kid. And you know where this is going. But I do see, and I would never support this GoFundMe either. It's silly. But what I do see, and that most people ain't going to tell you, is that white folks are sick of black people. Black people have cried wolf so many times that now they just sick of it. And therefore, a person like this that do what you see her do can raise this much money. It's almost like an indictment. It's like y'all cry wolf every day, every time somebody say the word, and y'all call each other the word every day. And then y'all trying to get this woman fired or whatever they're doing for her.
Not only crying wolf, but let's be real. A kid got stabbed in the chest and they celebrated that. But they are upset over a word? Let's continue.
Clearly, y'all, I'm not talking about every person. I'm giving a generic stance on it. I think white people feel like her. This little kid is stealing. I'm sick of these kids that don't have good parenting and they stealing stuff and doing this and they acting like ends. And if I feel like they acting like ends, I should be able to say it. Just like if a black person feel like they acting like an end, he should be able to say it. And so all this virtue signaling around a word that black people just blow out of proportion.
The impression that it's the feeling of seeing a guy literally run over an off-duty cop and get praised. I think it's the feeling that people see a kid stab another kid in the chest and then get a bunch of money through Give, Send, Go. I think there's the feeling of that. And then also to go on top of that, there, speaking of Give, Send, Go, Piers Morgan had their CEO on, and I didn't get to it over the course of this video. I'm editing this clip in, but of course it'll be coming up again tomorrow. And they see the head of Give, Send, Go order the page, the comments be turned off. I think that what it is that people are getting absolutely insanely fatigued by the ridiculous double standard. I think that is what the hell is really and truly going on here, and I believe that is why Ms. Hendricks or Mrs. Hendricks is getting so much money. I think that is what all this right here is. But still, though, at the same time, though, like I said, there's still more to this. Let me get back to B. Tate, because I think he actually nails the feeling of what's going on here. This clip right here is a little bit longer, but here you go.
F off, put me on the internet. And that's what I think this woman had done. I do not think it makes sense for somebody to call a kid any name. But the N-word has, to me, it has lost its luster. It has zero power. For some reason, if you want to be a victim, it now activates to having power. And that's why I would never feel sorry for, or there's no justification for a black person responding to the N-word no different than they respond to any other word. And it's even worse when black people get mad about the N-word. When I saw this and the lady called a kid an N, her calling him an N is irrelevant to me. What's relevant is that the fact that she called a kid a name in the first place, the fact that she may have said something derogatory towards a kid in the first place is a problem. Now, I don't know where that kid parents at, because she doing all this and nobody came forward to claim this kid. I don't know if that lady down the road is babysitting the kid. I don't know what's actually happening here. But what I will say is that y'all can't get mad at that word no more, because every hip hop song, they saying N. I put my life on it. Every single time that black people are talking, generally speaking, if you listen to them for 10 minutes, the N-word is going to come up in that sentence, in that conversation. They cuss each other out with the N-word. They cuss white people out with the N-word. They cuss their dogs out with the N-word. They call each other the N-word. They call each other the N-word when it's your friend.
I mean, I can't really disagree with him. The word does not have the meaning anymore. It does not have the power that it once had. And by the way, a lot of times that word is used for nefarious means. Now, I'm just going to direct you to Greg Foreman to explain that there. So don't worry, I'll link this video right here in the description box where he reacted to the interview, the debate on Piers Morgan. So instead of donating to this girl or cheering this girl on, what I'm going to say is this right here. You did this crap to yourself. By the way, Carmelo Anthony stabbing a kid in the chest and he got $500,000, that was just absolute outright evil. And by the way, we're going to be coming back to that tomorrow in the follow-up, because his representation is now playing the victim card over Austin Metcalf's father showing up to that press conference, being there. Jeff Metcalf, Austin Metcalf's father, he has lost his job. He's a cancer survivor. He's lost his son. He's really and truly going through it right now, and these people are probably gearing up to sue the man, even though the man probably doesn't have any money or any assets to take. Truly evil situation going on there. But did you think that maybe it was possible that after, oh, that's right, you didn't think. I'm just simply saying that people are reacting the exact same way. And by the way, they're reacting over a word. You guys are praising someone who actually killed somebody. The only thing this woman did was just say a dirty little word. Yes, directed at a kid. But still, though, I mean, it just goes to show you exactly the emotional intelligence we're dealing with here. Also, something else, too, they're going to be donating heavily to the guy in Ohio who killed the off-duty police officer in cold blood. They're going to be donating heavily to him. They're praising that guy. I mean, go back and look at that right there, the B-roll footage, and just look at the daggone comments of what people are leaving on the Instagram post. Absolutely sick and horrifying. But let me tell you what I find to be even more sick and horrifying. The fact that the two Somali guys that were actually at the playground, well, they have criminal past themselves. Now, I know somebody's going to come in here and they're going to say that this lady has got some DUIs and stuff like that on her record, and that right there, of course, is true. We're looking at her background as well, but DUI, DWI versus child abuse. Well, let's go back to Tree. I'm going to play the first half of this, then I'm going to come back on the other half. Don't worry, I'll leave the video in the description box. Hopefully I won't get a copyright claim, but still, though, let us go ahead and take a look at this.
Minnesota is filled with these type of people, but guess what else he is? He's a PDF file. A PDF file on a playground full of children? You don't say. Let's read this. Now, just so you all know, it's two of them, right? I think they're brothers or cousins. No, they're brothers, right? And just so you want to know who we're talking about this POS right here. This is the one. This is his speech. This is his speech. Are you talking to this child? Did you call the child?
Why in the hell is a PDF file at a playground? I understand why people may be upset about that word, but why in the hell is the PDF at the playground? Why? I just, it's amazing what gets missed in our emotions. I brought this up in yesterday's video on the Ethan Klein, Hassan Piker debate, that there was actually a moment where Ethan had said something along the lines of, you killed them, and then Hassan Piker turned right back and said, no, you just said that I killed them, I didn't kill them, and then Ethan said, I never said that. And then Hassan was like, maybe you didn't say that, when Ethan clearly did say that, and Ethan was just goading him because he knew Hassan Piker was the dumbass, also overly emotional. It seems to me like in these emotions, we've missed the bigger picture. But let us continue with the rest of this.
42 and Shameki Miki Bele. Listen, I don't respect this guy, so I don't care if I mess up his name, okay? So I'm Shar. I'm going to just call him Shar. So Shar, who's 30 years old, may receive a joint trial for their identical charges of third-degree criminal sexual conduct, of insertion of a person under 18 years old, uses coercion, and fifth-degree criminal SA conduct, non-consensual insertion dating back to January 20th, 2022, according to the Olmsted County Court records. Now, he was cleared of all allegations. He had several children and was allowing them to play at the park when the incident occurred. Now, I don't need to read the rest. You guys can go to Sarah's Twitter account to read the entire thread. But this is something that was said by Dragonfly in the Sky that was very educational as well as insightful. So after showing that, hey, the case got dropped, he innocent. This is what he says, and it's very good. Let me read it out to you. Respectfully, when accusations like that are made and then dropped, either the witness refused to cooperate or typically the case dissolved for the lack of evidence. However, per your document, it only says in the interest of justice, which appeared to be the discretion of a judge, not for the lack of evidence. Now, this is Minnesota. We get a lot of these libtard demon rat judges that drop cases or give a small fine or dismiss it altogether because, well, you know, racism.
Woke judges more than likely dismiss that case. These guys should be locked up. All right? I don't think guys like this right here need to be anywhere near a playground. But we're going to get upset about a little word. Which brings me to my last point. And like I said, there'll be a follow-up to this. There are a lot of people out there who have condemned this and saying stuff like, oh, it's the race to the bottom. Oh, they put this girl, Lily Gaddis, up there, even though in reality, you should be going after that girl for different reasons that I think are much, much more, let's just say much, much trashier than a little word that she went viral for. Don't worry, I'll talk more about that in tomorrow's video, which I'll probably make today. And then, of course, there's also the China video. The response to that one will probably be coming out on Friday or Saturday because it got to get pushed back again because of the news cycle. But the thing is this right here. I think that there's a completely different approach that could have quite frankly been taken. But let's be honest, if she had taken this approach, it never would have gone viral. And this right here is the approach that I'm talking about. Number one, you should never be calling little children names. You should never do that, okay? You really and truly should never do that, okay? I understand that there are people out there who lose it and their emotions. And hell, I've even lost it before with nieces and nephews. And, you know, I never really lost it with any of the, none of my ex-girlfriends is, because a couple of them had kids or had a child. I never really lost it with them. But still, though, I can understand why somebody would lose it, especially when it comes to a child who was trying to steal from their child. Now, granted, I understand it's a diaper bag. I mean, what the hell else could even be in there? I mean, I Hypocrite did a video responding to Bryson Gray just being a complete total moron, saying that white people were demons. That video will be linked in the description box. I Hypocrite actually had a very good take on that, but that rather be linked in the description box. But I have a completely different way of handling this. Do you think maybe it would be better if you were just more accurate? Like, little fucker. Little bastard. You little shit. I got called that a lot when I was a kid. Just simply saying, I mean, there's different words you could have used. We here in the South have kind of been conditioned not to use that word. We get conditioned not to use that word at a very, very young age. So, yeah, I kind of look down upon that word, you know, being used. If you want to get mad at me in the comment section, go right ahead and do so. But I will always stand on this principle. While I may not have agreed with how she handled it, I will defend her right to free speech, which is exactly what this is. And yes, hate speech is covered in the Constitution. Is saying stuff like fire in a movie theater, is stuff like that there that's not the First Amendment. But it is free speech. So while I may disagree with her usage of the word, I gotta tell you right now, I'm not seeing a violation here. By the way, they've already gotten the cops involved to investigate, and once again, they're like, hey, look, there's really no crime here. But don't be surprised if someday, given Minnesota's very, very woke legislative body, don't be surprised if someday that they don't pass a law, strangely, probably named after her, the Shiloh-Hendricks Act, where they actually ban the word outright and force a fine out of somebody or prison sentence. Absolutely crazy. By the way, this girl's going to take the money, and the only thing she's going to do is probably move a couple of states to the south, probably like Kentucky or Ohio or something. Still, though, you guys see what you think in the comments section. There will be another video coming out tomorrow covering that debate or bits and pieces of that debate that you guys saw where a man completely melted down like a woman. We'll be talking more about that tomorrow and following up on this issue with a little bit more information. If you guys can, please hit the like button, subscribe, share the video. I already know some people are probably pissed off, but quite frankly, the ones who were probably pissed off were probably going to be pissed off when they saw this story anyway. Still, though, like, share, subscribe. I'll see you guys later.